ndinokuchingamidza vatariri veSlyMedia TV. Pano tinobata nyaya dzakasiyana siyana dzinenge dzichiitika munharaunda matigere. Zita ndinonzi Simbarashe Zvidza. Tinokugamuchirai pane ino podcast yatinoita everyday, tichitaura nemi vatariri kuti mutipewo mupfungwa dzenyu nenyaya dzatenge tichiita ipo pano. Panapa tinokavha nyaya dzakawanda. Tinoenda kumatare edzimhosva, tinoendawo kumatare echivanhu kwatinonokurukura nemachiefs achitonga nyaya dzavo, tichinzwawo nyaya dzakasiyana siyana dzinenge chibva ikoko. Tinoendawo kumajere uko tichinotaurawo nevasungwa vanenge vakasungwa nemhosva dzakasiyana siyana, chinzwa kuti sei vakapinda munzvimbo yavari iyoyi. Tinoendawo munharaunda dzakasiyana siyana. Imi muchinge matifonera tinosvikapo tichinokavha nyaya idzodzo tichiita kuti muzive zviri kuitika kunyaya idzodzo. Tinotaurawo futi nana sekuru avo vanoita zvekurapa, tichiona nyaya dzakasiyana siyana dzinenge chibuda ikoko dzeuroyi, dzekuromba, dzegumbomba, dzerukawo nedzimwe dzakangodaro daro. Zvese tinozvikavha pano paSlyMedia TV tichiita kuti imi munzwe zvinenge zvichiitika. Asi pano papodcast show yatinayo nhasi tinge tichida kuti imimi sevatariri veSlyMedia TV munge muchitipawo pfungwa dzenyu panyaya dzinenge dziripo. Semazuva ese handisi kufamba ndega nhasi uno, kuti tinzvere nyaya yatinayo nhasi uno ndina Sokostina sangana nevatariri nevateereri veSlyMedia TV.
Ndinokuchingamidzai vadiwa vatariri, our viewers. Zita rangu ndinoitwa Pelagia Wekwamupuro, and I'm happy to be here muchirongwa chanhasi chiri kudhiraivhwa naSimbarashe. Ndinokutendai.
Tinotenda Pelagia Sokostina Wekwamupuro, hanzvadzi yangu. Nhasi uno tisati taintroduce guest yatinayo, ndinoda kuti ndikupewo kachidimbu kezviri kuitika muno munyika zvechitsotsi zvati wandei. Mafraudsters aveko ekuti vanhu vakuita mafake title deeds, vachitengesa maproperties akasiyana siyana asiri avo, vachichinja madocuments ayaya, angava matitle deeds, angave agreement of sale efake nemamwe madocuments akasiyana siyana. Even zvitupa, munhu akangononga chitupa ochinja madetails aya oaita ake, then votoifambisa mafake documents. Nhasi uno tine nyaya yakarereka ikoko, tichibva tati tigamuchire kuna Elizabeth mucheche parine nyatwa, guest yedu yanhasi, vane nyaya yavanayo yakasimba inoda kuti tiongorore nemiwo mubve maziva zvinenge zvichiitika muno munyika. Elizabeth, ndinokumbira kuti musangane nevatariri veSlyMedia TV muvachingamidze tichibva tapinda munyaya yedu, ndichizokubvunzai kuti tofamba sei.
Good morning, Zimbabwe and the rest of the world. I'm Elizabeth Mcheche Parirenyatwa. I'm delighted to be live at Sly Media. Thank you so much to the presenters.
Yes. Zvakanaka maita basa, tinokugamuchiraiwo pano paSlyMedia TV. Nyaya dzemafraud dzanyanya. Ndikuona kumakotsi kunguva yakareba muchipusha nyaya idzimwe dzamuri kupusha idzi. Ndinoda kuti mutitsanangurire kuti zviri kutora nzvimbo panyaya dzamuri kufambira idzi.
Ndinokutendai mose muri kuteerera. Ndapinda mumacourts for quite some time now. I was made General Power of Attorney and Special Power of Attorney of the late Brian James Rhodes estate. Executed dative ikabva yauya ichibva kuMaster of the High Court after magazettes ese zvese zvaitwa. Saka ndiri kumirira mukadzi wemufi anonzi Elizabeth N. Rhodes as far as zvine chekuita neestate yemurume wake akashaya anonzi Brian James Rhodes. Brian James Rhodes afa, zvinhu zvake zvakaenda kwaMaster of the High Court 2010, and there was an executor who's been there for many years. Inibva ndapindo last year ndiri executor dative, chireva kuti ndakumirira zvido zvemufi Brian James Rhodes, zvido zvaaida kuti zviitike kuestate yake, kana paine mabeneficiaries vakwanise kupiwa zvinhu zvine chekuita nhaka Yani Yemofi. So Brian James Rhodes was married to Elizabeth Ann Rhodes. Brian James Rhodes was very good friends with the Muchechi family. That's how I happened to know them. Saka parizvino tiri kumacourts takasungisa matsotsi anonzi Brian Murphy and Adam Woods. Brian Murphy and Adam Woods, they are accused in a matter that is before the Honorable Rotten Row Court. Why is because they did some fraudulent activities on the Sierra 14. Nyaya iyi zvairi kumatare edzimhosva. Handina zvakawanda zvandinokwanisa kukomenta zvakawanda. Asi mapepa andakaisa mumacourts iSierra 14 iri kutaura kuti Brian James Rhodes aresigna 2012. Iye anga afa 2006. Brian James Rhodes haazi chipoko. He is not roaming around the world as a ghost and resigning from his companies. Brian James Rhodes died in 2006 and he was cremated in Mutare, in a crematorium in Mutare. So he couldn't have resigned 6 years later. So this is the information that fraudsters were using. I got them through the civil court. They were lodging papers to evict me. I'm a woman in business. As a woman in business, I've got premises that I've been working for over 10 years. So they lodged these papers trying to remove me. So now they actually achieved removing me. But the paperwork that they lodged in the Honorable Civil Court is now evidence of their fraud case. So the matter is before the Honorable Court. It's actually Karoy Properties, the company, and Brian James Rhodes did not resign from this particular company. I cannot explain a whole lot further because it will seem like I am wanting certain things or a certain ruling. I want the Honorable Courts to really look into this matter and ensure that the law takes its course.
Maybe to take you back a little bit,
Yes.
What happened to the wife of Brian James Rhodes?
Brian James Rhodes got married to Elizabeth Ann Rhodes. They were both divorcees, okay, and they got married. By the time Brian James Rhodes is sick, on Beverly East Properties, the fraudsters removed her from the directorship of her company, Beverly East Properties. The husband is also a director of the same company. Okay. So this particular woman was then threatened and harassed and tortured by a lot of people, fraudsters purporting to know certain people. She was harassed to the extent she was threatened with death threats, and she fled to the United Kingdom to seek security there. I believe in the rule of law. I believe that the law must take its course. Beverly East Properties is a company that belongs to the widow. And if, in this particular case, the husband has died and is a director, it means that Elizabeth Ann Rhodes will be now the sole owner of Beverly East Properties, and she has units in Harare, Greendale, Masasa area. Those units, they were sold to one Jim Wakefield. Jim Wakefield is buying the properties that belong to a dead man. By the way, Beverly East Properties also is actually one of the companies that are at the Master of the High Court. I'm the executive. I'm yet to determine how many shares Elizabeth had, how many shares the husband had. By the time we are yet to discover what is where, Jim Wakefield has bought units at 194 Mutare Road that are worth millions of dollars. I phoned him. I asked him, what happened? And he told me the conveyancing of that particular property was done by Wintertons. This is a reputable company that is said to have done conveyancing of a dead man's estate. It is not okay, it is not acceptable for Wintertons to transfer, to do conveyancing of properties that belong to a dead man, and the issue is at the master of the High Court. This woman is stuck, threatened, had to flee, and homeless, and doesn't have any money, yet she's a director of the company Beverly East Properties. And obviously, because she is married to Brian James Rhodes, she is the rightful owner. According to me, the executor dative, if there is a will, I will execute the will, a valid will, accordingly. If there is no valid will, automatically, because the husband has got 100% shareholding in most of the companies, she becomes the rightful owner and beneficiary of this particular multi-million-dollar estate. So this particular woman sent a notarized general power of attorney, special power of attorney, for me to represent her. As you are seeing me right now, I'm not just Elizabeth Mucheche Paringatwa. I am Elizabeth N. Rhodes. I'm not Mbuya Rhodes. And I will ensure that the law takes its course, because the fraudsters on Beverly East Properties that are on the Sierra 14 now, that is Brian Murphy, an ex-Rhodesian scout intelligence officer, and Adam Lincoln Woods, the son-in-law of Ian Smith regime's brother. They are the ones that are purporting that they now own Beverly East Properties. This is ridiculous, and it has to be cancelled, nullified, and voided. All these particular appointments that they've put on themselves, and Veracity, a company that belongs to Brian Murphy, they must be stopped by because Zimbabwe has got a constitution. So the law must take its course,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, Phela, you've got
There's something that I'm liking about you, Elizabeth. I can see the advocacy for women in your tone. Like you're saying, from where you've come through, now you've become the executor dative. Okay, so my question comes there because I'm seeing the drive in you. You're standing for a woman. You're saying that as being oppressed. Now the husband has died. She's supposed to be the one taking over. I just want to come a little bit on you. What has made you do you have any experience that you've gone through with such that now you're advocating that even if the husband has died, people should not oppress the widow? I just want to understand if you've got any experiences that you've gone through for you to now say, I'm going to advocate. And from what I'm seeing, you're a black woman advocating for a white woman, which is not normally. Usually we just say we are black people, they're white people. And also, I would want you to also tell me the relationship, if Brian James Rhodes also has got the same relationship with the famous Cecil Rhodes. So I just want you to answer me on that question.
Thank you very much. I will start with the name Cecil John Rhodes, who is one of the first international investors to invest into Cape to Cairo. And Zimbabwe, as beautiful as it is with the beautiful people, he decided to stay in Zimbabwe. He left his estate to his beneficiaries, his family. Remember, he named Zimbabwe after himself, and Zambia after himself. So now, as Elizabeth Mucheche Paringatwa, I was a tenant at the premises that are owned by Brian James Rhodes and his wife, Elizabeth N. Rhodes, because of the fact that the Mucheche family and the Brian James Rhodes family, the Rhodes family, they knew each other intimately. My biological father, Martin Luke Mucheche Basis, the youngest brother of Ben Mucheche, the national hero, they knew Brian James Rhodes personally as very good friends and associates. So this relationship now made me to end up being at 186 Mtare Road, Masasa, to run my own business as a woman in business, because my family, they've been a driving force. Nemaste kunzichi indigenous, Shakatangwana na Bani Mcheche. He was the first black man to have bus company that is very influential. So I opened my business there. That's when I became more closer with Elizabeth N. Rhodes, the widow, asking him how she's handling this particular matter. Even before this particular matter arose, I knew Elizabeth N. Rhodes and Brian James Rhodes as mom and dad. As black as I am, I happen to be like that because my uncle was in the board of directors for Reserve Bank of Rhodesia. So if he was in the Reserve Bank of Rhodesia, automatically it means that he was very close allies with Cecil John Rhodes' family. And as a woman in business, I've become a woman in business because of being a former prison officer. I've seen women in prison. I've seen so many cases of even the convicted criminals, male criminals. This made me realize that there is a gap where people don't really represent women's rights, girl child rights. And it's not just Elizabeth N. Rhodes that I'm advocating for her rights as a woman in business, as a widow, and as a girl child. I've advocated for Tatiana Aleshina Ellis, who is the head of West Properties. I came in, she's my friend. I came in to support her when she had an argument with Tendai Biti. And then Tendai Biti said she is very, very stupid. This was way before this Russian war with Ukraine. You can imagine if Putin is related to Tatiana, what would have happened to us as Zimbabweans. It means that they would come out, guns blazing at us. So Biti was found guilty after 3 years, and I've been advocating for women's rights, girl child rights. I've been advocating for Tatiana Aleshina Ellis, who is a sister to Joanna Sharp. Joanna Sharp is wife to Ken Sharp. They are business entrepreneurs. I know them personally. It's not any business transaction with them. It's not about the money. It's about being good friends, and that's just it. And advocating for her rights. And other women, because we've done so many symposiums with women, we've done rallies in solidarity with other women that have been raped, with other women that have been assaulted. I'm not about color. I represent all women of all color, rainbow color, yes.
Right. Thank you so much. My next question is, so how are you handling disputes or conflicts among beneficiaries and other parties right now, since you're the executor dative right now? How are you handling this whole? Because I'm sure there are some conflicts. Because you're saying they're saying they are fraudsters. Probably they're saying we're not fraudsters. They might be arguing the same thing where we didn't steal anything. So how are you handling that?
The situation that we have on this particular estate of this widow, Elizabeth N. Rhodes, it's, what can I say? It's a very difficult environment, because the Sierra 14 for Beverly Hills Properties and other, it's actually a book that was given by the former executor Masomera. It's a multi-million-dollar estate, and people have been trying to grab it for many years, be it the former police officers and different government departments that have tried to grab it, claiming that it's now indigenized. The Constitution of Zimbabwe hasn't indigenized any companies. I believe in the drive of investment policy. We need to be Zimbabweans that are driven into bringing in more investors into Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is a correct destination for investment, and this particular case has caused a lot of despondency and pain into the national and international community. This particular case, I will tell you, it's got high-profile people that have tried to grab it. Brian Murphy already an accountant, has put himself there, claiming that he has taken the company that belongs to the great-grandson of Cecil John Rhodes. Also, Adam Lincoln Woods, the son-in-law of Ian Smith regime, is also there entangled in this particular matter. The lawyers that came through to evict me on my business premises that are actually part of this particular estate, 186 Mtare Road, the people that came through, they did an application for vindication. The lawyer that got a ruling in their favor as the applicant, representing the applicant, is actually Fadzai Mahere. So this particular situation is highly technical, because when I look at myself as a woman in business and as advocate for women's rights and girl child rights, it is not proper for a reputable lawyer and advocate to now take fraudulently, the lawyers is representing the fraudsters. How can you take things that belong to a dead man from a woman? Elizabeth N. Rhodes was harassed. There were machetes everywhere. And also it is entangled, Wintertons, as I have said before, as a reputable law firm. It's entangled in conveyancing a dead man's property. Also, we have companies like Gabriel Real Estate, Gabriel himself and Ove, one of their workers, and we also have Kadzere as a lawyer. I'm very shocked and disappointed to see people fighting a dead man in his grave. We also have the likes of Zumo Investments. Zumo Investments is a company that belongs to Chingwena of Crocker Motors. Zumo Investments put his share certificate into the paperwork that evicted me as a woman in business. They didn't even evict my company. They evicted me personally, but evicted the whole company in the guise of evicting Elizabeth Parenyatwa. And Zumo Investments, I've checked the Register of Companies. It's a company that is owned by Chingwena, who owns Crocker Motors and Dooley's. It is said, some sources are saying that Dooley's shareholding has got Brian Murphy. I'm yet to hear. But now the international community that is based in Zimbabwe, they told me that, Elizabeth, we are very disappointed because Brian Murphy is an extortionist. He's been extorting a lot of white community in the guise of, I know who and so in the government. Therefore, give me your trusts so that I become a trustee of your properties. The white community in Zimbabwe, they faced death threats after they've faced extortion and also losing their land, their buildings, their businesses. I think you are aware that the white people in Zimbabwe, they've got their own properties. Nobody's got the right. Even the late Lorna Rhodes Kruger, the daughter of Brian James Rhodes, when I met with her, she stayed in Glenlawn. She told me, Elizabeth, I signed a non-disclosure agreement. She died, may her soul rest in peace. I met with Brian Murphy. He made me sign a non-disclosure agreement for my trust. Now he's a trustee in properties of me, for me and my children, that was left by my husband, Mr. Kruger. And I cannot now stand to fight him because I've realized that he has already stolen things from me. He will harass my children. He will harass my family. Now she is late, and I'm fighting this particular case. I'm now Mbuya Rhodes, and being an executed dative now, I'm now Mr. Rhodes, and now I have to, it's been painful for me, I can say, as far as a girl child is concerned.
Aren't you afraid yourself while those people are saying they're afraid? Aren't you afraid yourself to tackle this sensitive case?
Mbuya Rhodes told me, Elizabeth, these people are armed and dangerous. And some of my associates, remember I'm a daughter of Mucheche, the buses and the Mucheche group, and my father, Martin Luke Mucheche, may his soul rest in peace. He was associated with the international community because he was running a bus company on behalf of his brother as the CEO of the Mucheche group, and he knows a lot of people, not matter of color, and also the associates of the late Ben Mucheche himself. He was in the board of governors, directors in the Reserve Bank of Rhodesia. So what's happening right now is that I'm now fighting this battle. I wasn't planning on fighting anybody. I happen to now fight for Mbuya Rhodes, who was threatened to be murdered, and Lorna Rhodes Kruger told me that my husband was killed. Mr. Kruger was killed by Brian Murphy. He's an ex-Rhodesian scout and he's armed and dangerous. And Adam Lincoln Woods is a runner for an Irish mafia boss who is called Cunningham, who's wanted by the United States of American government. I am worried for my life, definitely, because as Elizabeth, as strong as I am, and seeing that the late Brian James Rhodes' wife has fled the country, you can imagine going to the police station. I'm just wanting to know what is happening to me. I go to the police station, and the cars that are parked at the police station are supplied by Croco Motors, Chingwena, Zumo Investments, who is entangled in this particular matter. And I'm supposed to report to the police that Chingwena has stolen a company and properties that belong to a dead man. By the time I'm going, yes, I got in and I reported this matter to the police. But just imagine, he's also a supplier of motor vehicles at the magistrate's court, at the High Court, at the Supreme Court, at different government departments, and his stickers are everywhere. So I'm bound to be worried about my life, but with God, my helper, because Mbuya Rhodes prayed for me. You know, white people, they pray differently from us black people. She would say, Elizabeth, I bless you that when you move with speed, you move with lightning, you move with power. I believe in myself. I think that is the greatest strength that I have. And that particular strength is not running away from me. I'm actually jump-started because I'm in this studio this particular morning, and I will tell you something. These fraudsters, they've got no right, they've got no authority to do what they've done. They will have to feel and face the sound of the law and the arm of the law of the Republic of Zimbabwe, and also from Cape to Cairo, because maybe they've stolen some things that belong to Brian James Rhodes that are at international level.
Okay, maybe to take you back, what are the cases and how many counts of these cases, and how many properties? Maybe in short, because now our time is not on our side. In short, the crimes, the cases involved, the properties involved, in short.
Okay, the case number one, I might not number them, but the case number one that is already at the Rotten Row Magistrates Court is for Carey Properties on the fraud that they say that Brian James Rhodes resigned when he died. This particular one is the first case of fraud. We have the next case of Beverly East Properties, a company that is owned by Elizabeth N. Rhodes and the husband, Brian James Rhodes. Also the same issue of fraud. We also have the issue of selling of units at 194 Mutare Road. This is now theft. Theft is different from fraud. Theft is when they sold the properties that belong to Beverly East Properties, a company, the conveyancer, Wintertons. This particular is theft of what? Of properties. We also have theft of, we've got housebreaking, by the way. The widow was chased away with people with machetes. These people are there. I saw them on the ground when I went with the CID people, the people from Zimbabwe Republic Police. They wanted to see the extent. These people have got machetes, and they were now trying to chase me away. You can imagine. So the house, the matrimonial home of the late Brian James Rhodes, which is the matrimonial home that belongs to Elizabeth N. Rhodes, the widow, there's housebreaking, unlawful entry, vandalism, theft of home furniture, and a whole lot of drama that is just there at the matrimonial. You won't even think it's in Greendale. It's in an affluent and influential area, yet it's now they're demolishing things that belong to a dead man. We also have their premises for business, outdoor living center that has done swimming pools for many years. They destroyed the business. It's a registered company, outdoor living center. They put people there. There are people that are there that have vandalized, unlawful entry. We also have a company, like I told you, Croco Properties, Croco Chingwena. He's got his company called Water Breeze with a managing director that's now on the ground. Now, Water Breeze, a company that belongs to Chingwena, and Croco Properties that is claiming that they've given their own company, Water Breeze, to run a business. Apparently, they are unlawfully there. It means that their crime is unlawful entry. They've also vandalized the premises. They've also, done a lot of drama.
It's a whole lot of things.
Yes, it's a lot. It's a whole lot.
I understand the case is at the court. And when is the next appearance for these fraudsters?
The next appearance date for Brian Murphy himself and Adam Woods on fraud charges is on the 29th of July 2024. We also have an extraordinary situation where Gabriel, the owner of Gabriel Real Estate, and over his worker, they threatened me with death threats when I was a tenant, and even up to now. As I'm executor dative, I reported them to the police that they've said death threats to me, and they've been going around telling tenants of the land that belongs to Brian James Rhodes, where I'm executor dative. They've told the general public that she's a mad woman. So I reported them to the Honorable, the ZRP. They were arrested. And this particular issue is entangled in this particular issue, but they're the ones, Gabriel Real Estate is the one that was taking money that belongs to a dead man. And the money, it was saying it is credited to Zumwe Investments. So they are also involved. There is also another case of Kadzere, a lawyer who has been fraudulently lodging papers with Fadzai Mahere at civil court. The two, Kadzere and Fadzai Mahere, they are the ones, and Kadzere swore at me at the Honorable Civil Court with my children. The three of my children were there when we happened to go there. We've got an application for Tatenda Yuparingatwa, my son. It's an application for rescission of default judgment. When we got outside the civil court, court one, a few meters away from the door, he started shouting at me because now he knows that I'm General Paul Fatoni and Special Paul Fatoni. I've faced threats, death threats. I've faced words, F words that I never knew because I grew up with very reputable men. I'm coming from a good family and nobody has ever said bad things to me. And I also happen to have given birth to 3 children. The 3 Paringat was Tatina Mona and Kutenda. They're obviously threatened with death threats. So these particular cases, they are actually already at the honorable courts. Okay. We've got just one docket that has failed to go to the courts of Brian Murphy himself, the extradition force, threatening me that he'll kill me just after I left the honorable courts the first time in March. This issue hasn't entered the honorable courts. We went to the sit down, and then the PP said, no, go and correct to the officer who was dealing with this matter. His name is Nyazema. And then now I feel like Nyazema is dealt unfairly to me. Okay. And this particular matter is
I'm sorry, I will have to cut you there because of our time. Pela, maybe you've got a question before.
She has kindly answered all questions that I had in mind because she was speaking fluently and rashly, so I don't have any question.
Ms. Miss Elizabeth Mcheche, probably your last words, just in short, before we wind up.
What I'm here to tell the general public at national, regional, and international level is that Zimbabwe is a correct destination for investment. Therefore, the law must take its course. This country has got a constitution. This country has got a president, and it's got the rule of law. His Excellency, the President, is ready to work with the women. He is ready to work with widows and the girl child. As you can see, that he is going up and down looking for investors. So this particular case is hitting into what we call investment policy. It is important for the law to take its course, and they are convicted and incarcerated if it pleases the honorable courts, so that Zimbabwe can now move forward. We've gone for many years with people doing a lot of fraud, theft, and claiming to be certain people. I'm a daughter of a late national hero, Ben Mcheche. I don't believe in using the ZANU-PF name to destroy investment policy in Zimbabwe. It's about time that people that come through to purport to be politicians, to purport to be whatever you are, you cannot just grab something that belongs to someone else. It is unfair, it is unethical, it is bad. This particular country is a free country. It's got good people, excellent people, and we've got investors that are coming into Zimbabwe. We need to ensure that these people, when they're coming into Zimbabwe, their Sierra 14 won't be altered. It's very important. If women come from Dubai and they want to invest in Zimbabwe, we cannot alter, we cannot fraudulently change the Sierra 14 on their documents. Let's ensure that we build our country and we follow under the mantra of the president, who is saying we are open for business. And also he says, Nika ine venevayo. Venevayo vari kubirwa, because venyika vari vakabva India, vakabva kuAmerica, vari vemuno muZimbabwe vatema vapi tese tiri vene takanzi tisu tivake nyika na president Mnangagwa. The president is an enemy of none, and he is a friend of all. That's what he says about Zimbabwe. Our friendship for all and the enemy of now should be shown by operating our businesses properly. These people that have done this fraud, they need to know that they are derailing the policies of the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Comrade E.D. Mnangagwa. They are also derailing the security of the President and the Commander-in-Chief. He is the Commander-in-Chief. He is supposed to protect the people, the widows, the orphans, the children of Brian James Rhodes. What do you think they are going through? There is Shona Rhodes, Fakwa in Australia. What do you think she's going through? There is also Bernice Kilburn Rhodes, who is in Zambia. What do you think they are thinking? They were told that we are trying to keep your companies. You see now, people will say Zimbabwe wants to keep you, Zimbabwe wants to take your things. Zimbabwe doesn't want to take anything that belongs to anybody. This is a correct destination for investment. Come to Zimbabwe, invest in Zimbabwe.
Correct destination indeed. This is another case of people using their influence to alter documents and seize properties that belong to other people, according to Elizabeth Mcheche Parerenyatwa. We will give you more details as we follow through this case and see how it progresses. Pela, can you tell us more about our winter advertising promotion?
Okay, tichidzoka kwamuri vadiwa vatariri, ndofunga tiri kungofamba newinter video promotion yatinayo yatiri kuti uyai muadvertise. Ndinovimba kuti munoona kuti pano patinoita mastories edu, there will be more than 10k vanhu vanenge vachiona. Saka mukauyawo nevidhio renyu $20 handika mouya nevidhio renyu paya toisa pamastories atinoisa paya, asi tiri kuti hamuzouye chete iri $20, munouya nawo kana tiri $100, which means 5 videos dzatinoisa pamaprograms atinoita ndofunga tine program yatakaita musunono yakaita I think more than 20 saka you can see kuti ukaisa ipapo simba munhu akaisa kana kuti company yake achiadvertise unoona kuti anoonekwa nevanhu vakawanda saka tiri ngoti vanhu ngavauye vaadvertise ichiri kuenderera mberi because we're still in winter even after winter ndakanzwa kuti pane good news kuti tichange tichingopfuurira mberi nenyaya dzeadvertisement idzodzo
ndizvo chaizvo zvakawanda zvatinokupai panapa iko zvino taakufirima bhora revakadzi every weekend tichikupai mutambo wenhabvu tinodawo zvakare kana mune ma-events amunawo imimi sema-companies munouya tinokwanisa kuita live stream those events tichikuburitsai pamhepo zvichiitika ipapo regai ndikuonekei inini simba rashoka zvidza ndichionekerawo pelagia hukwamupurwa and our guest Elizabeth Mucheche parirenyatwa tichisangana mune zvimwe zvirongwa zvatinokupai pano paSly Media TV. Bye bye.